All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are watching Steel City Renegades here on the Redline Network, also on Redline Radio. You can also follow us on our Redline Network Facebook and YouTube page. You got myself here, Dynamite Dave, and my main man D's, all the way from his studio. I know I'm not going to say Chicago because I know you don't like that. But ladies and gentlemen, we are talking a Pittsburgh Steelers win.
What up?
And how about it, D's? Did I call that or did I? When Aaron Rodgers with 4 touchdowns, did I call that?
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. I didn't even expect 4, but I'll take that every week. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that as far as the way he looked. Obviously, there are some things that needed work this week, which I'm sure we'll dive into. But I'm excited. A win is a win. However ugly it may be, we come out 1-0 with stuff that we can hopefully learn from on tape. So,
well, it's another ugly win by the defense. Once again, your elite defense giving up big plays, can't stop the run. Justin Fields looked really good in his debut with the Jets. I mean, he looked like he had a chip on his shoulder to play against Pittsburgh, and he should have. I mean, but Justin Fields played pretty good. But let's get into it, man. First game, Aaron Rodgers. Your thoughts on that there, D's?
When he had time, which wasn't very often, he looked great. He used the middle of the field. He had the quick strikes. Was able to read what the actual defense was doing, as we saw in the 2 touchdown passes that came off of the exact same play. The first one being, of course, the crossing route to Ben Skoranek was the exact identical play call, same personnel, everything, as the later touchdown to Calvin Austin. And the difference from what we've seen over the last 5 years with our quarterback carousel and Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, everybody is an option. Whereas I think we were kind of handcuffed with our quarterbacks of the recent past, whether it was Justin Fields or, well, we already know what the handcuff with Russ Wilson was, but with Kenny, with Justin, with everybody that we've tried to plug in there, it's basically been, kind of a 1 read, 2 read dump off kind of thing. Whereas Aaron sees the whole thing. And the defense, to their credit, did adjust on that particular play. The second time around, they actually watched Skoranek coming across the middle, but they forgot that Calvin Austin was running a quick, deep, I believe it was kind of a corner route, but not really a corner because he was coming out of the slot, but he still had that little bit of a jog to the right where he was left wide open. And you cannot do that with Calvin Austin with that kind of speed. And credit to Aaron Rodgers for recognizing that the defense recognized that it was the same play. So he's like, okay, well, you forgot about this guy. Bada bing, bada boom, there it is. So all of those things were great. Again, still work to be done. Broderick Jones has caught a lot of strays, not even strays. I mean, he was the target. He's caught a lot of hell this week, and rightfully so, because he did not have a very good debut. And it wasn't just him. Everybody kind of had hits and misses, but Broderick is the one that really stood out. But credit to the Jets and Justin Fields and that defensive front that the Jets have, because that defense is still no slouch. Say what you want about how bad the Jets were last year. They still have very good defensive front seven, and then actually the secondary is not terrible when you figure Sauce Gardner and those guys. But that front seven is a lot of really tough individuals. So, yeah, I think we could have played better, but it's not like we did that against a really bad front seven. That was a strong Jets team coming out excited with their new quarterback. Hats off to Justin for playing as well as he did. And it was kind of nice to see Justin play without the handcuffs that I think that he had last season. I'm still reserving judgment because it is the Jets, and the Jets seem to find ways to get into their own way. So we'll see. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch. I did not expect it to be that high scoring of an affair. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. Rodgers played really well. Justin Fields played really well. But you talk about your boy. We backed up here, one of our former starting quarterbacks from last year. Russell Wilson not looking too good out there in New York. Not
No,
looking good at all.
no, definitely not. And I'll be surprised if he survives this game as the quarterback. If things do not go well, I could see them immediately turning to Jackson Dart, and then we probably won't see Russ on an NFL field in any kind of starting capacity, barring some kind of injury. I think that's just he doesn't have the ability to do the things that he did in his youth as far as get outside the pocket and get away from the pass rush and make things happen. And everybody knows that he can't see over that line to hit that intermediate middle now. So yeah, I think his time again as the starting quarterback is coming to a close rather quickly.
I would totally agree with you on that. I mean, watching some of his highlights and the way Dable talks. I mean, short is real leash for him, or real short for him. And I don't think he makes it out of New York this year. I think that if they go to Dart, they might end up trading him or releasing him, and him get picked up by another team who needs a quarterback. Probably about week 6 or 7. Maybe go to San Francisco, be a backup, or go somewhere and go be a backup where you can go spot start for them and lead them for a couple games. I mean,
I don't think they'll get rid of him just for the simple fact that he is a veteran leader, veteran presence, and even if he can't help you on the field, he can still help a young guy like Jackson, you know, with what he sees. Uh, unless there is a team that gets really, really desperate, I don't see a reason why the Jets would trade him. I mean, they're already kind of on the hook for his money anyway. So unless somebody just gives him a super sweet deal, and I doubt that that's going to happen with the tape that Russ has put on. Uh, just if you figure the last 5-6 weeks of last year, and then what he showed this past weekend, um, I think he's a Giant through the end of the year. I just don't think he's a starting quarterback for the Giants for very much longer.
all right, well, I'll give you that, but I don't think he lasts the rest of the year there, especially with them high hopes on Jackson Dart. And I hear that they got a package for him this week, so hopefully he can get out in the field and see it. But anyway, let's get back to the game. So first touchdown we seen was what? What was the first touchdown we seen? The Benny Scope touchdown.
Ben Skoranek coming across the middle on that real nice drag route, and like I said, you had Darnell Washington running kind of a hook route, which they really paid a lot of attention to Darnell, which was kind of funny because all of the hype that we heard in the preseason was how much Aaron likes this guy and this tight end room is great, blah blah blah. So I think that they really kind of bit on that, and he didn't even look Darnell's way. And then we had Calvin Austin taking the safety deep. Nobody was even on the screen when Skoranek came across the middle there, and Skoranek still got some wheels and easy dump off. Skoranek takes it in, and we were off to the races, and things were looking good. And then our defense got on the field, and we saw what happened there.
What do you think the problem is with this defense? I mean, and good old Justin Fields took a lot of shots at the Steelers defense. He said, "Man, you've changed up your whole defense and you're still doing the same thing on the defensive side of the football." What do you think the problem is? Do you think it's the coordinator or the scheme?
Yes. Yes, it's both. I think the scheme could work. I don't know if who was that they were talking to. They were talking about how, oh, it was Thornhill about how they've been going up against non-mobile guys in camp, and all of a sudden you throw them one of the most mobile guys in Justin Fields. But I still, I would blame coaching on them not being prepared for that. Um, who's the nose tackle? Keanu Benton. Keanu Benton had a horrible game. If you go back and you watch the tape, you can sit here and point fingers, but I can really point fingers at two individuals that had horrible games that just made the rest of the defense look really bad. And those two names are Keanu Benton and Peyton Wilson. Keanu Benton literally got blown off the ball, washed down the line, whatever the case may be, and then Peyton Wilson just got swallowed up. Patrick Queen actually had a solid game if you pay specific attention to him. Cam Hayward, again, for somebody that was, let's just say, limited during camp with the whole hold in and whatever you want to call it. Both of those guys held up. It was just those two individuals getting completely blown off the ball and washed out of the play really kind of gashed us. And then you go back and if you look at the charts that Next Gen Stats always puts up there, you'll see that they completely ignored the right side of the defensive line slash or the right side of the offensive line. In other words, where TJ is, and even a few times TJ on a backside crash almost made the play, and on a couple of occasions he actually did make the play. I would like to think that now that they have it on tape, and you know, Keanu Benton even owned it himself, and I think that we're going to see a lot more of YA Black this week, clogging that middle up. In my not even close to expert opinion, there is no possible way that our run defense is going to look that bad this week and going forward. Not saying we won't get got from time to time, uh, but that's not going to be the Steeler defense this year. I think that they're going to get some of it corrected. I think a lot of it will be corrected when Derek Harmon gets ready to play, which, from my understanding, he's getting close, just not quite there yet. But a little bit of both. Like they should have been doing some run blitzes and things to keep Peyton Wilson clean. Maybe played Black a little bit more on Keanu Benton's side to eat up some offensive linemen, but they definitely weren't as prepared as I would have liked them to see against that Jets team.
Yeah, you're right, man. And then we had some injuries this week with Deshaun Elliott, and then we brought in Jabril Peppers into the Steelers, and he said he was waiting for that phone call. I watched his first press conference or his media availability with the Steelers, and he said that he was happy that Mike Tomlin called, and that's where he wanted to play, but he didn't want to play there this soon. But I mean, he's here. Your thoughts on Jabril Peppers?
I think it's a great pickup. You know, all off season we were talking about we still needed some safety help after we got rid of Minka, and we were tossing out some names, and honestly, well, actually, because that's right, Jabril wasn't available until the end of camp. I didn't know that he got cut, or I would have been screaming for that the day that he got released because Jabril Peppers, when healthy, can play, and he is a thumper. He is a middle linebacker with the speed to play defensive back, and I think he could be a perfect addition to that team because he's one of those guys that you can literally plug in. You can plug him in the slot. You could have him play strong. You could have him play down in the box. He loves contact. He's got decent hands. You know, he's not a ball hawk, but he hits and he's going to bring the lumber. And I am excited to see him on the field, hopefully soon.
He's supposed to play today.
Oh, I'm sure he will, especially with Deshaun being out. I am, you know, when they signed him, I thought, oh, that's not good news for Deshaun. I was completely expecting the next sentence to be Deshaun Elliott put on IR, even if it was the, you know, the short term designated to return kind of IR. But they say it's just a couple of week type injury. So hopefully Jabril Peppers is up to speed. Obviously, we're not going to. At least I don't believe we're going to see a lot of him. I don't know how much of the defense he can pick up in 1 week, but I expect him out there, and it will help against this Seattle team.
I mean, you keep saying that we keep adding these people, man. I mean, when Peppers came available, I was all for it, but I'm still wondering why nobody signed Justin Simmons yet. I mean, that puzzles me, and why the Steelers haven't even looked that way. They went other routes. Maybe he's injured or whatever, but I'm happy to have Peppers here. You know, we're talking about week number 2 in the NFL. Steelers play the Seahawks today. I have that as a win. I don't remember if you picked it as a win.
Yeah, home opener, and then you go with the old standby, which is a West Coast team traveling across the East Coast for a noon kickoff. You know, statistics. I mean, that's a real thing. That unless there is a huge disparity in team talent, traditionally the team that's home on the East Coast outperforms that West Coast team traveling for early games.
All right, so we got Ryan Neff joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan, how you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're all
Good.
right, man. We're all right. So, Ryan, what's your thoughts so far on the 2025 NFL football season? I already know it. Only know it's week number 2 coming up. But what's your thoughts so far? Any games last week catch your eye?
Um, I mean, with the Packers, with the trade for Michael Parsons, I mean, Christ. I I mean, I know it's only 2 games, but they look for real if they can stay healthy. Jaden Reed's already hurt with the broken collarbone. Miami stinks. Mike McDaniel has lost that team. And look, across the board, uh, if you cannot, and Dees knows this, and I say this all the time, if you cannot run the football, you are not going to win a lot of games, period. And again, I know it's a passing league. I've said it for the last few years, but if you can't run the football to control the time of possession, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Agreed.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts so far about your Kansas City Chiefs? I know that they played on Friday. Where'd they play at? They played in Mexico City, right? Weren't they in Mexico? Brazil. That's right. They played in Brazil. They played this week number 2. What's your thoughts on them? And let's get to Miami real quick before you go to Kansas City. Do you think it's time for Miami to start blowing it up over there and get rid of players, free up some cap space and different draft picks?
Yeah, I know they said earlier in the week that in Miami it was like a players only meeting or whatnot, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. They just looked horrible. Mike McDaniel's lost his team. They're soft. They don't respond to him anymore. You got to worry about Tua with the concussions. Tyreek Hill's unhappy. The defense isn't what it once was years ago. It's just bad in Miami. They should blow it up. Bring in somebody that's a disciplinarian. It's not going to take any shit off anybody. They need to get hard, and they need to be a physical football team, and I just don't see it out of them.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think about them so far?
Again, I said this before in the offseason. Brett Veach, the GM, they did nothing to upgrade the running backs. They did nothing to upgrade the wide receiver core. The defense is still the same. Kelsey's older. Mahomes is getting a little older. My prediction was that the Chiefs are not going to make the playoffs this year. Anybody who knows the last 20 years, the Super Bowl loser the following year, I think 14 out of the 20 teams that have lost the Super Bowl in the last 20 years have failed to make the playoffs. I just don't see it. They looked disinterested in Brazil. There was no energy. There was no sense of urgency. Look, against the Eagles, I just don't. You're not going to turn it around in a week. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to win this week either. They're trying to run it back with the same group. They did it with smoke and mirrors last year. They got their ass kicked in the Super Bowl. I still think they're going to be hungover from that ass kicking. I want to see effort against the Eagles. I want to see a revenge factor come into play. I just don't see it. I just don't see it with this team going forward. I really don't.
So what you're saying? Did I hear you correctly and say that you don't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs?
No, I don't. That's just my own personal opinion. I look. People say they still got Mahomes. They still have Kelsey. They still have this. No, they don't. They don't have a running back one. Well, people will say Pacheco's a running back one. No, he's not. It's running back by committee. The receiving core is pedestrian. I know Hollywood Brown had a good week last week, but defense is older. They were bickering on the sideline last week. I just don't see it, guys. I just really don't.
So then, are you calling Miami to see what you could do to get Tyreek Hill back?
Not as of right now, with the whole investigation going on with his ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife, I guess, with the domestic violence issues. Look, even if they bring Tyreek Hill over, it gives him a deep threat. But in the last, what was it? The last 12 games, he does not have a reception over 30 yards.
A lot.
Yeah. So again, even if they bring Tyreek Hill over, still doesn't solve your running back issues. Still doesn't solve your defensive issues. And I just, with the schedule the way it is this year, I don't see it. That's just my personal opinion, though, guys. I just don't see how they're going to make the playoffs. Denver's better, although Bo Nix was less than impressive last week. Look, I still think the Jets are going to make the playoffs as a wild card. The Bengals are going to make it as a wild card, and then you have the Chargers, who, look, we all know what we're getting with.
Let me stop you. The Bengals with that defense, you think is going to make the playoffs? Over
Yeah.
over who?
Who? Maybe your Steelers. Um,
Okay.
you look at the AFC South. Who scares you in the AFC South? That's going to make a wild card. Nobody.
Scares me, no, but I was impressed with how the Jags looked, and the Colts. The jury's still out on because it was a very, very, very bad Miami team. I was impressed with Danny Jones, but
Who did the Jags play last week, Dave?
um,
Panthers.
yeah, Carolina.
Let,
Yeah,
let,
but
let's
still, I mean, it's the Jags, and they looked like a complete team for the first time in quite a while. I realize it's the Panthers, and the Panthers are not a good football team, but good football teams destroy bad football teams, and that's kind of what we saw. I'm not saying that they're going to win the South or dominate or anything, but they are at least as of week 1 trending in the right direction.
Well, they play the Bengals today, so if they beat the Bengals today, then I might take them seriously a little bit. But again, it's early in the season. You don't know. Injuries will be aplenty, and we'll just again. I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs. I think probably the Bengals will make the playoffs, and then I think the last wild card will come down to the Chargers and the Steelers, and you might throw somebody else in there.
AFC is pretty wide open this year. There's a lot of talent kind of spread out. Your usual suspects, your Buffalo, Baltimore. So I kind of agree with you that I see a world where Kansas City doesn't make it. I'm concerned with, like you said, I called him Bo Picks. Bo Nix did not look great last week, but he didn't look great at the beginning of last season either. So it's kind of, hard to really judge. But yeah, I can see a world where Kansas City doesn't make it. They're already coming out of the gate banged up. They lose Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown, yeah, he looked good, but he looked good out of necessity because they're running out of targets. So you never know. I mean, somebody could get hurt, but this could be the beginning of the end of that Kansas City dynasty or whatever you want to call it. I can see it because I think the Chargers are going to be a vastly improved team as well.
And as far as like the Steelers go, Rodgers isn't going to play like that every week. The Jets snatched the defeat away from victory. The Jets had no reason losing that game, but look, the Jets are the Jets. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why you got Chris Boswell to hit you a 60-yard field goal, and then he had some clearance. It could have been good from 68, maybe.
Oh, easy. Yeah, that thing was good from 70. It hit the net, like still driving. I think there's no question that thing would have been good from 70.
Yeah.
Bill King, what's up? Browns fan. He is joining us on the show. He says, what do you think of Quinshon Judkins this year? Will he be suspended? I don't think so. He's already free and clear of the charges. So, I mean, I think it'll be next year that he's suspended. He's going to play today. So, your guys' thoughts on that, real quick?
Go ahead, Dave.
What was the situation with him?
Domestic violence.
And there's no charges, like they've been dropped, kind of thing.
Yeah, they've been dropped.
Then I don't see it happening unless there's some kind of overwhelming evidence that's going to pop up. I would think we would already know that. So yeah, if they've activated him and the NFL knows that, I think that the NFL has told them, yeah, unless something earth shattering comes out of the woodwork, then he's going to be good to go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Browns use him. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. I know they had Jerome Ford and a couple other guys, but you draft a running back like that to be your starter. So I expect him to get a good workload today.
I agree too.
Did they feature? I didn't watch a second of. Did they really feature Ford last week? Did anybody pay any attention?
I don't think look, the Browns and the who did they play last week?
Bengals.
Bengals. Neither team could run the football. I mean, he carried it a little bit. I don't know what his receiving stats were, but like I said, neither team. He was the feature back last week. Right? I mean, look, that game was abysmal. Neither team could run the ball. Neither team could pass the ball. But I don't know how they're going to use Judkins and Ford in the same backfield. They're probably going to utilize. It's probably going to be running back by committee for a while until one of those running backs takes the reins. But as the season goes on, just like with the Marion Hampton for the Chargers, I fully expect Judkins to take over the reins at the running back position this year.
Yeah, I mean, would they get him second round?
I think it was a second round
Yes,
pick.
they
Yeah,
got him in the second round. He said no. Samson is what Bill said. Yeah, Marion Sampson or Simpson or whatever his last name is what he
he
said.
did.
But let's get back into it though, real quick. Ryan, I don't know if you caught the first 15 minutes of the show. Your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers' performance last week and Justin Fields' performance?
I thought they were both outstanding. With Rodgers, look, Rodgers does Rodgers things when he has protection. I know he was scrambling a little bit coming out of the backfield, but look, he's not going to play like that every game. Again, they still have to establish the run. I thought the Steelers did okay in the run game. It wasn't fantastic. It didn't suck. It was just sort of like in between. But again, and look, if the Steelers are going to be successful with Rodgers doing his thing, they have to establish the run game. I say it all the time, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but to take pressure off of Rodgers, I don't care if it's 3.5 yards a carry, if it's 3 yards a carry, you still have to commit to running the football because Rodgers isn't going to be to do. He's not going to be able to do that every week. So you got to take a little bit of pressure off him. That's why I'm still curious to see how the Steelers handle the running backs going forward because uh, you're not going to have Rodgers bail you out time again. He's almost 40 for Christ's sake. I know he threw for over 400 yards, but again, they were fortunate enough to win that game. Look, if the Jets defender didn't have the goddamn brain cramp with the personal foul knocking the guy, when he was out of bounds, and then the Jets fumbled the punt. Um, and again, you're not going to have Rodgers do that every week, guys. So whether it's Warren that takes the reins, whether it's running back committee, I don't know. But again, I thought Rodgers was fantastic week one, but you can't expect him to do that every week.
Well, we only rushed for 53 yards. There's definitely room for improvement there, but yeah, the play action, uh, Aaron is one of the best to ever do it. And he's not almost 40; he's almost 41. And yeah, he's going to have bad games. But the one thing Aaron's not going to do, and that he's never done because he's the leader in the history of the NFL, is he's not going to turn the ball over very often. And if our defense actually plays the way our defense is supposed to, and the way that our defense is paid to play, he's not going to have to bail us out. And look, there is no world where this defense plays that poorly all year long. It's not going to happen. Is it going to happen every now and then? Yeah. Week one's a bad time for it to happen because everybody, the house is on fire and panicking. But I don't see any way, shape, or form that the Steeler defense is going to perform that poorly. The only turnover that we did get was, like you said, on the kickoff return from on the Kenny Gainwell strip, and that basically turned the game around. But yeah, I don't expect 4 TDs from him every week, but I think it's realistic that we see 2 touchdowns and 1 or less picks on a regular basis. I mean, I don't see him going more than 10 picks all year long for the simple fact that in his 20 years of starting in the NFL, or whatever it is, 18 years starting in the NFL, he's only eclipsed that mark, I believe, twice. Once was 11 and once was 10. So as far as the turnovers go, look, he's still sharp up here. Clearly, he's still got the arm strength. The only detriment to his game that I see so far is his legs. He's not going
Mm-hmm.
to get out of a lot of the pressures and stuff that he has over the course of his career, which is where that offensive line needs to grow up and in a goddamn hurry in order to not even that he's not going to play well, but we got to keep him upright and healthy. And as long as we do that, I see us right there at the end contending with anybody as long as that defense, actually plays the way that they're paid to do so.
I mean, they got big money on the defense, man. Let's give a big applause to Jalen Ramsey.
What a hit.
What a hit,
Yeah.
man. What a hit. He could still play. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I think the Jets would have got into field goal range and tried to get a field goal and win the game. But, I mean, Jalen Ramsey stepped up. That's something that Minka and anybody else didn't do last year. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this defense. Defense very highly paid. Don't know what's going on with it. You can't keep continuing to give up runs exactly like you did last week. It's not going to work in the NFL, like Ryan said. Defense is where it needs to be worked out. You can see the offense can put up points, and you can see what the Arthur Smith offense is really like now with the quarterback who can do what Arthur wanted. Russell wasn't the answer. Fields wasn't the answer. Obviously, he's got the answer in Aaron Rodgers with his offense. Not to say that they're going to win the Super Bowl or whatever. We'll see how the season plays, but defense got to be tightened up in a hurry. So that's my thoughts on the defense. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the NFL week. And guess what, man? I won my fantasy. I blew out my opponent by like 190 points. So hopefully I can get some more points this week. Boswell helped me out with a couple points, man. So kudos to Chris.
Get those
Boswell.
bonus points for the long field goal, huh?
Oh yeah, bonus points for the long field goal. Yes.
I think a big difference between last week and this week is the quarterback factor. You know, whether they'll come out and admit it in front of a microphone or not, I think in the back of the Steeler defenders' heads, they were scared of what Justin's legs could do. You know, whether or not they were properly schemed for it, hard to say, but I think that a lot of it came from that.
Juan Thornhill said they did not compete or compare or how did he say it?
Prepare.
They did not prepare for Justin Fields.
Well, people kind of came out and said that, but that I actually watched the quote, and that's not like he didn't just say we weren't coached to. It was more of along the lines of every day in camp we were going against Skylar Thompson and Aaron Rodgers. Like they weren't used to seeing that on a daily basis. Like he didn't throw the coaches under the bus. Like, oh, we didn't prepare for that. But I do think that in the back of their head, they were maybe over prepared for it, in that they were worried more so about what Justin was going to do rather than what Breece Hall was going to do. And I think that showed. And I think we'll see a big difference today with Sam Darnold back there, because Sam Darnold's not scaring anybody. I mean, yeah, he can get out and scramble a little bit here and there, but you're never going to worry about Sam Darnold busting a 70-yard run on an option play. So I think that we'll see a lot more focus on stopping that running attack that Seattle likes with their two-headed monster. And I think we're going to see a big improvement against the run. And then the big thing is with our losses in the secondary, Deshaun Elliott being out, now Joey Porter Jr. also being out, we're going to see some shuffling around. Jalen's going to be more of a corner this week as opposed to a safety. And you got to keep your eye on Jackson Smith and Jigba.
That's why I think Peppers plays a lot more than what people think, because if you're going to move Ramsey over to the corner, you're going to have a safety that can hit and cover the field. And I think Peppers does that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's going to see the field a lot more than he would have on a normal week, like if Joey wasn't hurt. But yeah, and he'll help against the run. And he's also, like I said, a decent cover guy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the game plays out. But Ryan, we did our weekly, or not our weekly, but our NFL schedule. We broke down the Steelers, and I got the Steelers this year going 11-6, and D's got them going 12-5. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like 11-6, 10-7, somewhere in there. Look, every team has a bogus loss at some point during the season, but I have them going either 11-6 or 10-7, and then making one of the wild cards.
Yeah,
so I
could see it.
You were talking about last week. The reason why Fields was able to do what he did was because they ran the ball effectively against the Steelers. Again, to Deez's point, Sam Darnold was terrible last week. He's not going to beat you with his legs, but I guarantee you the Steelers will see a heavy dose of Charbonnet. Charbonnet and why is it slipping my mind? Kenneth Walker. And you have to who's the receiver? Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I guarantee you they're going to pound the rock today, and we will see what happens because again, again, Darnold's not going to beat you with his arm, but I don't think the Seahawks are worried about that. I think that the Seahawks will probably try to run it 40 to 45 times today.
I think that they're going to have to for the simple fact that they're going to need to eat up some clock, especially with the injuries that they have on their defense. They're going to be missing, I believe, starting safety and Devin Weatherspoon looks like he is probably not going to play, which takes away a huge weapon on the outside on that defense. So Aaron could have another week like he did last week. But I do tend to agree with you. I think our running game needs to get a lot better. I'd like to see a little bit more Caleb Johnson this week, as opposed to hell. I'd like to see a lot more Jalen Warren this week. We didn't really see a lot of him. They seem to feature Kenny Gainwell more so than I think anybody anticipated. And they just, they had a couple splash plays here and there, but nothing. I don't believe we had a run over 9 yards. So we definitely need to see a little bit more of that. And I think that's where it's going to start to buy a little more time for Aaron, get that play action working a little bit better. And with the injuries on that Seattle defense, it could open some things up. But biggest thing, like you said, is we have to stop that two-headed monster that they have, because both of those guys are kind of bangers, between the tackle type guys. So we're going to have to be solid tackling. And again, you can kind of crash down because you don't have to worry about Sam Darnold busting one on the outside for 80 plus. So should be a good game. But again, I'm just going off of the golden rule of gambling, which is a West Coast team crack of dawn going to the East Coast. You can say what you want, that these are, grown men, that they shouldn't be affected by that. History and statistics show that it is a factor. And it's amazing how many times we see even good teams from the West Coast when they travel to that East Coast for a noon, or I guess it would be 1 p.m. if you're actually on the East Coast. It's weird. It just the way that stuff happens. And I think that the crowd's going to be hype seeing all these new additions, Aaron and Jonnu and Jalen, everything, first home game. I think it's going to be just a little bit too much for Seattle to handle.
Before I roll out of here, gentlemen, I am still miffed at why they don't use the tight end Washington more. He's 6'9", 6'7". He weighs 270 pounds, and they don't use him in the receiving game. I still don't understand it.
You're preaching to the choir, man.
He was a mismatch for anybody, and he didn't have any catches last week that I saw.
I don't believe he had any targets last week, and I think both of us will agree that, yeah. And Aaron talks so much about him. I would like to think that this week was just kind of one of those one-off games where Aaron just didn't find him. But I do believe that what Aaron says is going to hold true. I think Aaron does really like him, and I think that especially once we get into that red zone, you're going to see a lot more of Darnell and Jonnu, because those are two massive red zone targets. But yeah, I definitely want to see a little bit more of that this week as well. That guy's a weapon. He should be utilized.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are absolutely right. He is a weapon. I don't know why he's not targeted. Maybe they're saving him for this week or saving him for down the road. But I don't know. You got to get him the football. Roger said it in his media availability that you got to get him the football and get him out there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the scheme is, but I've seen a lot of. He was out there a couple times blocking on run plays. I've seen that, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next coming games.
Upset special of the week before I roll out of here. The Jets will take down the Bills. The Jets will take down the Bills.
You watched the Bills last week, right?
The Jets will take down the Bills.
All right.
The Jets are not beating the Bills.
Line is actually only 5.5, which is kind of a surprise, which I think that speaks to what the gamblers think of the Jets after last week, because I think if the Jets didn't perform well last week, that line would have been a lot more than 5.5. I'm going to disagree, but I won't be shocked, because I did like what I saw the Jets do. And I think as Justin gets more comfortable in that offense, because that offensive coordinator comes from the Detroit line, the Ben Johnson tree. So I could see the Jets making a lot more noise than people want to give them credit for if they can stay healthy.
And I think the Bills are missing one of their key pieces to their defense this week. Is it Oliver? That's out. He's one of the defensive linemen. I think he's hurt, and I don't think he's playing today.
Injury report. Yeah, Ed Oliver is out with an ankle injury. Everyone else is questionable, but he's the only one that's listed as out. And yeah, that's especially in that run game. He is a load in the middle there. And the Jets, injury wise, aren't looking too bad.
Yeah.
So should be a fun game to watch.
All right, gentlemen, enjoy the games. Look, I think the Steelers win. I think the Chiefs lose, and that's all she wrote.
Have a good Sunday, sir.
All right, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, man. We'll get you back on next week. All right, there you have it. Ryan Neff, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here. These, we got about 17 minutes left to go. Anything else you want to touch on here from last week or coming into this week? Any players that caught your eye last week?
Just the things that we've kind of touched on a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more Caleb Johnson this week, and Jaylen Warren for that matter. I think that we kind of over-featured Kenny Gainwell. I expect Kenny to stay a weapon, but I did not expect him to get more usage than even Jaylen Warren, especially after Jaylen got that contract extension prior to the season. So I'd like to see our running game come together a little bit more. And the biggest thing of all is I want to know how Broderick Jones responds, because he knows that, everybody is down on him right now. He knows that he had a horrible week and that Aaron hit the ground a lot because of him, whether it was the sack or even hit after the ball was gone. He definitely has to improve on what he put on tape last week. And the offensive line in general, especially in the run game, we got to see some holes open up, got to control the ball a little bit and not let Seattle dictate the pace of the game with their rushing attack.
I would agree, man. I would agree. I mean, I know that they got Kenneth Walker over there. They got other backs. They got some good wide receivers over there. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then they have Emeka Buka. He went to Tampa Bay. That's right. I forgot about that. He had a good game last week for the Bucks. But yeah, I mean, I think we got to go in there and we got to smack the taste out of Seattle's mouth. Coming in all the way from the West Coast to here, I think we need to win this game. Probably about 31-17 is what we need to win this game by. Rodgers, I know you guys said 2 touchdown passes. I say 3. Get a rushing touchdown, get DK a touchdown, and get Mount Washington a touchdown, and I'll be happy with that. But other than that, our defense, I just hope that they play really well and get more sacks and get some pressure. I mean, got the highest paid defense in the NFL and not looking too good. So,
by far, yeah.
Yeah, so we need
again. Everybody, highest paid defense, and they suck. Blah blah blah. If you watch it on tape, it was really just a handful of guys. And not even really a handful, basically like 2 or 3 guys consistently did not have a good game. And that was Keanu Benton and Peyton Wilson. And credit to Justin Fields. He put the ball in some tight places inside that zone. I don't really, Darius Slay, he got beat on that deep corner route, but he was there. I mean, he literally could make contact with the guy. He just had that one step, so it isn't like he completely broke down. But the pass rush needs to get home a little bit more, which again we're dealing with Sam Darnold and not somebody like Justin Fields, so you're going to be more kind of an ears pinned back as opposed to more of a read and react kind of pass rush. We should be getting back Nick Herbig this week, so that'll give us our full complement as far as the edge rotation that we're going to have. We are going to be without Malik Harrison, which should mean that Cole Holcomb was going to see the field a little bit more this week. So it'll be nice. We lost a couple guys, but we got a little bit stronger as well with Jabril Peppers. We'll get to see Cole Holcomb get on the field, and we're 1 week closer to getting Derek Harmon out there as well. And the one thing we haven't really touched on is DK Metcalf revenge game, so to speak. Not that he left Seattle with any bad blood or anything like that, but you've got to think that he's going to want to kind of show out against his old team, much the way Aaron did last week against the Jets, kind of the way Justin did against the Steelers as well. I personally don't think the Jets stand a chance in hell against the Bills, but should make for an interesting game.
Yeah, I don't think they do neither. I mean, the Bills played fantastic last week, man. I think that they're the team in the AFC to beat, man. They looked really good. They looked really good. I really think that it's either going to be them or Baltimore.
Yeah, and Baltimore, it's the same thing year after year with John Harbaugh's team is that they can't finish. Whether it is they can't finish a game in that they have given up more comeback, they've had more losses in a comeback in the last 4 or 5 years than I want to say than any other team in the NFL. And then of course you get to the end of the season and they can't seem to finish there either. So as long as that stigma kind of hangs over their head, yeah, they're going to look like juggernauts, for much of the year. But all these old suspects keep popping up when you're talking about Baltimore, which is why that they don't really scare me a whole lot if you're facing them, because they can be got. And I just don't think that they're going to be there when the chips are down at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, man. I think that's what needs to happen with the Steelers or Baltimore. I'm sorry. I think Pittsburgh, if they get their defense together, I think we can be a contender. I think we'll be either 4 through 7 seed with our schedule. I think we can get there and make the playoffs and hopefully get a playoff victory and move on to the next round. Like I said, I mean, if there by any chance that the Steelers can make the Super Bowl, I do think that they try and talk to Rodgers out of retirement and try to come back and add the piece that they're missing. So hopefully we can win a playoff game first and foremost. We'll get to the playoffs, then win a playoff game, and then after that, anybody can win after that. You know how the NFL is. Any given Sunday.
For sure. All right. Well, let's do this. We didn't do it last week. We got 10 minutes left. Let's run through the week. Let me hear what your picks are, your thoughts are on the week as a whole. Starting off, Jacksonville at Cincinnati.
Jacksonville at Cincinnati. I am going to take. I'll take the Bungles over the Jags.
After watching Cincinnati's offensive line play and their defense, which was kind of stout, but it was more along the lines of the Browns were that bad, I'm going to go Jags in an upset here. I liked the way Jacksonville looked last week. I know they played a bad Carolina team, but they did what you're supposed to do to a bad team, which is kind of dominate. Etienne had a great game, 143 on the ground. Cincinnati's defense is just going to be bad. So I'm going to take the Jags in an upset and help us out.
Okay.
Giants at Cowboys.
Giants at Cowboys. Listen, this may be an upset game. I think I'm going to go with the Giants.
What? With Russ? I can't see it. Not after what I watched Dallas or the Giants put on tape last week. And the Cowboys looked good for much of that game against the Eagles. Even, through the whole spitting incident and everything, Dak looked good. CD had 4 bad drops. I think that's not going to happen again. Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to usher in the Jackson Dart era for New York. Bears at Lions. Both teams coming off of rough losses in Detroit. Who bounces back?
Who is this? Detroit or Detroit?
Chicago with Ben Johnson going to Detroit to take on the Lions.
Listen, I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. I don't like him. I don't think that he's a good quarterback like everybody thinks he is. I'm going with Detroit here. I'm going to take the Lions.
I agree. I think that, for one, the Lions are going to know kind of what Ben wants to do. They may not necessarily know the specific plays, but I can't imagine his scheme changing a whole lot. So I think that that's going to provide an advantage. Of course, the Bears are going to know what the Lions are trying to do because I don't think the Lions have changed up a whole lot. So then at that point, you're talking about the other factors, that being the home crowd and the talent level. And I think the Lions are just better across the board. Lions ran into a buzzsaw in Green Bay, and I expect them to bounce back and send the Bears to 0-2. Rams at Titans.
Rams at Titans. I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, Titans, Cam didn't look terrible, but the rest of the team did. Rams did just enough. As long as Stafford can stay healthy, I see no reason why the Rams shouldn't win this game, so I'm with you on that. Patriots, Dolphins in Miami.
Patriots. Dolphins are in disarray. They might blow it up here real soon.
Agree. Patriots didn't look great last week, but again, I think Vrabel's going to have them well prepared for this game. And Miami, like you said, they're just kind of in shambles. So then we move on to New Orleans, 49ers, and the Saints. Keeping in mind that this is Mac Jones taking on Spencer Rattler. That's your quarterback matchup with the injury to Brock Purdy.
Who would have thought we had that week 2? Who would have thought that?
Right. It's bad. It's very, very bad. Who's the other big? Isn't there another big Niner injury?
Yes, Kittle. Kittle was out.
Oh, that's right. Kittle. Brock Purdy's out 3 to 5. Man,
I'm taking the Niners still. Spencer Rattler can't beat them.
I think so too. I think Mac Jones, with some talent around him, he's got good coaching around him. I think the under might be the play of the day here. I think it's going to be ugly, but yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers as well. And then the aforementioned Buffalo Bills traveling to the swamps of the Meadowlands, taking on the Jets.
This is going to be a blowout.
I'm kind of leaning that way myself.
This is going to be a blowout.
Well, define blowout.
38-10.
Ooh, yeah, that's a fucking blowout. I don't think it'll be that close, but I don't think it'll be that far. I'm going to say more like a 2-score kind of, 31-17. I think Justin is dangerous. They're coming off, even in a loss.
Allen played. Come on.
Agreed. And again, that's why I'm saying 2 scores, but I think the Jets will be able to get it a little closer than that. But yeah, I got Buffalo there. We'll save that one. The Browns at Baltimore.
I hate to say this. I really do. But the Ratbirds.
Yeah, I mean, even in that loss, and they're 11.5-point favorites, rightfully so. Even in that loss, they put up 40 points. I don't see the Browns defense playing as well as they did. Don't get me wrong, as much as, I mean, my first choice would be like, a satellite falls out of the sky on the middle of the field. But yeah, I think Baltimore probably handles Cleveland at home. But if I had to root for a team, it would be the Browns here. Broncos with Bo Nix hopefully not becoming Mo Picks, taking on Danny Dimes and the Colts in Indy in a 3:00, or in your case, 4:00 showdown.
Hey, Danny Dimes looked pretty good last week.
Danny Dimes looked awesome last week, but it was against the Miami Dolphins.
They're playing who? The Colts versus who?
The Broncos. And their defense looked disgusting last week.
I'm taking the Broncos, but I want to see Danny Dimes have another game because I'm actually a Danny Dimes fan.
Oh, I know you are. You were lobbying for him to come to my team, and we're not having that shit. Yeah.
He's better than Russ, and he's better than Russ.
Last week's version, yes. If that's the Danny Dimes that we're going to get, maybe the Giants just ruined him. Hard to say. I think losing Saquon really hurt him as well too, because once he was gone, he kind of regressed back. But I think that that Denver defense is just going to be a little too much. Even if Bo Nix doesn't have a great game, I think their defense is going to carry them. So I'm going to take Denver in that one. Panthers at the Cardinals.
Panthers at the Cardinals. I am going to take the Cardinals.
Agreed. Again, Panthers look like they haven't really progressed much than of what we've seen over the last couple of years, and Arizona is, Arizona. They're going to win 8 or 9 games.
All right, so Donnie's putting up picks here. He picked Cincinnati, the Giants, the Lions, the Rams, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Jets, the Ravens, the Colts.
All right. Yeah, I got the Cardinals as well. Eagles, Chiefs.
Eagles, Chiefs, a rematch of the Super Bowl.
In Kansas City.
In KC. So I would say the Chiefs come back this week and win.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think they're banged up, and the Eagles looked really strong last week. I don't think they're going to beat the shit out of them like they did in the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to come out of here with a win. Sunday night game, Falcons, Vikings, the Kirk Cousins Bowl in Minnesota.
JJ McCarthy, he looked pretty good last week.
Second half, he looked good. First half, he looked really bad.
I'm going to take the Purple People Eaters because Justin Jefferson, I like him.
I'm with you there. I think the Vikings are going to ride the momentum from last week as well. And Monday night, we have a doubleheader, which is kicking it off in the early game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Houston Texans.
I'll take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Agreed. I think that they're going to continue to kind of dominate the NFC South. So give me Tampa. And then the late night game. Shit, that game might still be on when I get up for work. The Chargers taking on the Raiders in Las Vegas.
Ooh. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers look strong against the Chiefs team. I think that this might finally be the year where Harbaugh kind of gets them over that hump. Obviously, the Chargers have kind of started strong. Seems like they have like a huge slump, whether it's in the beginning, in the middle, or then at the end. But I think this is the year that he's finally going to have them kind of there at the end. I don't know that they're quite ready for prime time yet, but I think that they are a threat to be a playoff team. Raiders is probably still a few players away. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers. And finally, the reason we're all here, Seattle Seahawks traveling to Pittsburgh, Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium, whatever you want to call it, home opener, West Coast team coming to the East Coast for an early kickoff. Who do you got?
I got the Steelers 34. I'll go 34 or 31-17 Pittsburgh.
All right. 30 points back-to-back weeks.
Yes.
Has that happened anytime recently? I don't.
Yes. It happened the 2 weeks in a row right after they fired Matt Canada.
Did they score over 30? I know that they
scored 31 against Cincinnati and then 34 against the Browns.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, I can't see a world where our defense looks as bad as they did last week. Home opener, crowd's going to be hyped. They want to see all the new stars with Aaron Rodgers leading them out on the field. I think it's going to be not as close as the 3.5 point line that we have. I think we're going to be much improved against the run. We don't have a threat of a running quarterback to deal with, even with the injuries that we have. I'm going to take Pittsburgh 27, Seattle 17. I'm going to 27-17. Pittsburgh goes to 2-0.
You're only 4 points away from me, dude. I mean, we can get Boswell can kick 2 field goals.
Hey, I'm all for it. If we can fucking rack up 30 2 weeks in a row, I'll take it. I'm just I want to ground myself a little bit. A 10-point win, I'll be more than happy with. Something to where not at the end of the game, I'm not about to have a fucking coronary, because I mean that's Steeler football for the last forever.
Yes. All right, D's. Appreciate you coming on, man. Hey, guys, enjoy your week here. Week 2 NFL. We'll be back next Sunday, same time, same channel. For D's, for the Dynamite One, we're out. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.